Hi, everyone. Tonight, we're sitting down with someone whose name might already be around you on your phone, in your bag, or even on your wrist right now. Steve Jobs. I don't know about you, but just hearing that name gives me chills. Before we dive in, feel free to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And leave a comment, too. I read them all. You can listen to this podcast while working, driving, exercising, or just when you're in the mood for a good conversation. Now, dim the lights, relax, and join me on a journey into the life of a remarkable man. Steve, thank you for being here today. Let's jump right in. I think we should start with something people often wonder about. They've called you a genius, a rebel, a perfectionist. Do any of those actually feel true to who you are?
What's funny is I never set out to be any of those things. I just saw a problem and felt compelled to solve it. I literally couldn't not do it. People say I was obsessed with perfection. That might be true, but I didn't see it as perfection for control's sake. It was more like, why settle for something mediocre when you know you can make it great? I remember when I built the first Mac, I asked the engineers to make the internal circuitry beautiful, even though no customer would ever see it. They thought I was crazy. But for me, if you're gonna make something, it should be beautiful all the way through. That's how you honor your work.
So it's like you had this deeply internal standard.
Exactly. But it wasn't about controlling people or proving anything. It was this gut feeling that I wouldn't sleep well at night knowing I could have done better but didn't.
Where do you think that feeling came from? Was it something rooted in your childhood?
Yeah, maybe. My adoptive father, Paul Jobs, never went to college, but he had an incredible eye and sense of craftsmanship. He used to fix cars and build cabinets, and he'd always say, even the parts people can't see, those still have to be done right. I think that sunk in early, and it stuck with me for life.
That quote should be on the walls of every creative studio.
As long as they don't hate me after the first week of tight deadlines.
I promise I'll keep the deadline part hush-hush. But seriously, I've always wondered, didn't that kind of standard ever feel isolating? I mean, living in a world where most people are okay with good enough while you kept chasing absolutely right.
Yes, many times it felt very lonely, but it's also where I found myself. I used to tell my team, we're not here to do easy things. And I really believe if you want to make something that matters, you can't play it safe.
I love that line. We're not here to do easy things. Was that your mindset even in the earliest days when you and Waz were building Apple out of a garage?
Absolutely. Back then, we had no money, no roadmap, and definitely no idea how big it could become. But we had this intense belief that personal computers were going to change the world. Woz was the real wizard with hardware. I'd watch him wire up boards late into the night. Pure genius. My role was more like the guy constantly asking, what's next? How do we get this into people's hands?
So were you the dreamer, the pusher?
Maybe both. I had this relentless feeling that we were standing at the edge of something huge, and we couldn't walk away from it. Even when no one else saw it, not investors, not friends, I just felt this is it.
Were there moments he thought it might all fall apart?
Many. There was a time when we had built the Apple II and it was selling, but I already wanted to move on to the next thing, the Macintosh. I believed graphical user interfaces would change everything, but the board thought I was nuts, spending millions on something unproven. And then I got fired from my own company.
You say that so calmly. That must have been devastating.
It was. I was 30. I had poured everything into Apple, my identity, my energy, my youth, and suddenly it was gone. But here's the strange part. Getting fired turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. It freed me to start again, more curious, more humble.
That's when you started Next and bought Pixar.
Exactly. And both were these strange, beautiful journeys. Pixar. No one believed a computer animation studio would work. But we had these artists, engineers who believed. And then Toy Story came out, and suddenly the world changed again.
There's a quote of yours that stuck with me. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. Was that period the origin of that insight?
Yeah. When I was in it, the chaos, the loss, the unknown, nothing made sense. But looking back, I realized every dot mattered. Dropping out of college, studying calligraphy, getting fired, starting Next, Pixar. They weren't detours. They were the path.
That gives me chills. Then came your return to Apple. The company was near collapse. What made you say yes?
Apple was in my blood. I couldn't just watch it die. But I only agreed when I felt I could actually do something meaningful. And the first thing I did wasn't to create something new. It was to say no.
Say no?
We had dozens of products that even our employees couldn't explain. I started by simplifying, bringing Apple back to its core. Do less, but do it better. And from there came the iMac, then the iPod, then the iPhone.
Did you know the iPhone would change the world like it did?
We knew it was special, but no one knew it would transform entire industries or human behavior itself. We just believed if we could build something beautiful, powerful, elegant, intuitive, people would love it. The rest just unfolded.
You often speak about beauty in technology. Why is that so important to you?
Because technology isn't just a tool. It becomes part of your life. If you live with something every day, it should be beautiful. Not just on the outside, but on the inside too. Like the layout of the circuit board or the way it feels in your hand. That's respect for the user.
Looking back at it all, Apple, Pixar, the breakthroughs, the failures, the comeback, what do you want people to remember about Steve Jobs?
I don't want people to remember me. I want them to feel something from the things I helped build. A song on an iPod that brings tears. A FaceTime call with a mother across the world. A moment of inspiration that makes them believe they can change something. If that happens, I'm at peace.
And personally, what do you cherish the most?
My family. The quiet dinners at home with my wife and kids. In the end, work is just work. But love and time, you never get those back. That's the biggest lesson I've learned. Not from technology, but from the illness that reminded me. Time is finite.
Steve, let's rewind even further. Before Apple, before the black turtlenecks, what was little Steve like?
Restless, inquisitive, a little bit of a troublemaker. I was the kid who always asked why and what if, not to annoy anyone, though I'm sure I did, but because I genuinely needed to understand things at the root. My father, Paul, was a machinist. He showed me how to build things with my hands, but more importantly, he showed me the art in it. He'd say, even the part no one sees should be beautiful. That stayed with me.
Did you always feel different?
Oh, yeah, totally. I was adopted, and I think that gave me this deep sense of searching. Like I was here for something, but I had to earn my place in the world. I didn't fit into the traditional school system. I got bored easily. Teachers didn't know what to do with me, but there were a few, one or two, who saw me. One teacher bribed me with candy to do math. I loved it.
That curiosity you described, did it ever feel lonely?
Very. You start noticing that what excites you, others don't care about. When I discovered electronics and circuitry, it was like falling in love. But I couldn't exactly share that over lunch at school. Then I met Steve Wozniak. That changed everything. He didn't just speak my language. He lived in it.
So what did you and Woz talk about back then?
Mostly computers and how to break rules. We built a device that let us make free calls on payphones. Completely illegal and completely thrilling. But it wasn't about cheating the system. It was about understanding it so deeply that we could play with it. That mindset is how Apple was born.
So, from candy-bribed math lessons to hacking payphones, what would you say was your first real act of rebellion?
Probably refusing to conform. In high school, I stopped bathing, walked barefoot, took LSD, not to rebel for rebellion's sake, but to see differently. I read a lot of Eastern philosophy. I went to India. I was hungry for something more. That search led me to intuition. And intuition, in many ways, became my compass.
Do you think that same childlike hunger, that curiosity, is what kept you innovating later in life?
Absolutely. Curiosity is everything. It's how you see around corners. It's how you care. The moment you stop being curious, you stop growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying.
So the rebel was always the seeker.
Yes. And underneath the seeking was a question I still ask every day. Is what am I really here to do? And am I doing it honestly?
Steve, there's something people keep bringing up when they talk about you. They call it the reality distortion field. Some say it's how you convinced others to believe in the impossible. Others say it's how you convinced yourself. What do you honestly think about that label?
Yeah, I've heard that term more times than I can count. And I get it. But here's the truth. I never set out to distort reality. I just didn't accept it as fixed.
Not fixed? What do you mean?
Most people take the world as it is. I saw it as something you could shape. The boundaries people believe in, deadlines, specs, market expectations, most of them are just stories someone else made up. I didn't see why we had to live inside them.
So instead of asking, is this possible, you asked what?
I asked what would it take, and I'd keep asking it until the team either figured it out or proved it truly couldn't be done. Most times they surprised even themselves.
Did people ever push back, thank you for being unrealistic?
All the time. They'd say, Steve, this can't be done in 6 weeks. And I'd say, okay, do it in 4. But not to punish them, to push them into discovering what they didn't even know they were capable of.
That sounds intense, but also kind of inspiring.
Depends who you ask.
Look, it wasn't always pretty. I wasn't always patient. But I truly believed if you're building something important, something that touches lives, then you owe it your full imagination, not just your logic.
So the reality distortion field wasn't about illusion. It was about belief.
Exactly. Reality's malleable if you care enough and if you're willing to fail big. I wasn't afraid to look foolish. I was more afraid of mediocrity.
That might be the most Steve Jobs sentence ever. I have to ask, did you ever apply that field to, say, convincing friends to go vegan with you?
Guilty. I probably tried to distort a few dinner menus too.
All right, we'll save the tofu evangelism for another episode. Coming up next, I want to talk about something that seems to run deep in everything you made. Simplicity. Let's talk about simplicity. Every Apple product feels like a masterclass in making things disappear. Buttons, ports, even choices, all reduced to the bare minimum. Why was simplicity such a sacred value to you?
Because clarity is kindness. Most companies confuse more with better. They throw in 100 features, 5 different models, 10 color options, and end up overwhelming people. But simplicity forces you to decide what really matters.
It sounds easy, but probably isn't.
It's brutally hard. Simplicity isn't about removing things. It's about understanding things so deeply that you know what to remove and why. That takes taste, that takes patience, and frankly, that takes saying no to a lot of good ideas.
Was that hard for you, saying no?
Yes, especially when you're surrounded by brilliant people. But the product doesn't care how many ideas you had. It only reflects the discipline you had to say this one. Just this one.
You once said design is not just what it looks like and feels like, design is how it works. Do you still stand by that?
More than ever. If something is beautiful but confusing, it's not well designed. Real design hides complexity. It lets you feel powerful, not because the tech is fancy, but because it disappears behind what you want to do.
So, in a way, great design is invisible.
Exactly. If it calls attention to itself, it's failed. You shouldn't notice the tool. You should notice what it lets you become.
That is quietly profound. All right, next up, the side of Steve Jobs that people really talk about, the seeker. The one who looked inward as intensely as he looked outward. Steve, not many people associate the word spiritual with Silicon Valley, but with you, it's different. You once traveled to India, dropped acid, lived in an ashram. What were you looking for?
Truth. Not success, not money, just truth. I was 19. I had all these questions inside me. What is this all for? Why am I here? Is there something beyond all this?
And did India give you answers?
It gave me better questions. It humbled me. I went there thinking I'd find something big. Instead, I realized that silence is big. That simplicity, not just in design, but in life, has power.
So when you came back, were you different?
Radically. I was less interested in noise, more interested in meaning. Eastern philosophy taught me to focus, to be present.
And to accept that not everything can be explained with logic.
And yet, you went on to build some of the most advanced technologies ever.
Yes, but I tried to make them feel human. Not cold, not mechanical. I wanted people to sense that the product had soul. You can feel that in a Mac, in an iPhone. There's something intuitive, something gentle in how it works.
Do you think that spiritual side is part of why people feel so attached to Apple products?
Maybe. I think people crave clarity, purpose. And when a product is built with care, with restraint, with meaning, it speaks to something deeper in all of us.
That makes me look at my iPhone a little differently now. All right, we're heading into our final section. It's time to talk legacy. Steve, you changed the world. But when you think about your legacy, what do you hope people remember?
That I tried to put something meaningful into the world, tried to make tools that empowered people, tried to build things that lasted.
Is there one product you're most proud of?
Honestly, it's not a product. It's the team, the culture we built. Apple isn't about any one device. It's about a way of thinking, about excellence, simplicity, and caring deeply about the user experience.
What do you hope young people take from your story?
That it's okay to be different, that you can trust your gut, follow your curiosity, and still make something beautiful and useful. You don't need to be the smartest, just the most relentless.
Do you feel at peace with what you've done?
I do. I made a lot of mistakes. I wasn't always easy to work with, but I poured my heart into what I believed in. And in the end, I think that matters more than being perfect.
Steve, thank you for your honesty and for showing us that design, technology, and soul can live together.
Thank you, Sophie. This was real.
And that's where we'll end it today. A conversation with the man who saw the world not just as it was, but as it could be. Steve Jobs didn't just build products, he built possibilities. He reminded us that beauty matters, that simplicity is powerful, and that the best ideas often come from a place of obsession and love. If you felt something today, if this episode made you think, reflect, or simply pause for a moment, I hope you'll share it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll look at your phone or your computer, or even your own work and ask yourself, am I building something that matters? Thanks for being here. I'm Sophie, and this was 20 Minute Podcast.
See you next time.